5 leader. He's a dear friend. I absolutely look up to this guy in so many ways. Total rock star. The great Rick!
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Very nice.
Do it again.
Awesome crowd. I don't know what these lines mean. They're kind of intimidating. Well, some of you guys know my story. I'm an ex-cocktail waitress. I was pregnant at age 17. Instagram is clearly. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed that up. Isn't April great? Where is she? You can't see anything up here. So yeah, when I wanted Instagram tips, I called April. I mean, it just kind of made sense, right? Why learn something that someone else has already mastered? And that's what we do. So for those of you who's seen me for the first time, just curious, awesome, yay, that's always neat. So a little bit about my story. I was born in Indiana. I currently live in Florida. And today I'm rocking the pink shirt for my baby girl Sabrina, who's coming October 1st is the due date. My first daughter, so I'm also I'm nervous and excited. And I remember we were in the birthing whatever, I don't know all these terms, right? But we're in the room and they do the sonogram and like it's a girl, right? And so I'm like sitting there. And I'm seeing like visions of like the daughter on American Dad. Like I'm seeing this, the biker boyfriend, and she's already smoking cigarettes, and there's, all these images. And eventually Jess is like, "Are you all right?" My wife, she kind of prodded me. But I'm excited for that. As far as business, let's see. I took 5 years to finish high school. I failed English 4. I never finished college. I remember I was working for a local county government and just doing what I thought I should do, working hard, and kept getting passed over for someone else. They would bring someone from the outside that I would have to train that was making more money than me. Anyone ever have that happen? Yeah. That's always awesome, right? And I kept working hard, and eventually I got to a point where I was spending more time with pictures of my kids than the real thing. I have 2 boys who are now, one just turned 16 and another one is 17. And I realized by looking at my bosses, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And so when you're struggling, when you feel like quitting, and I assure you, unless you're just crazy, there will be times that you'll feel like quitting. When you're thinking about quitting, just remember 2 things. Remember why you started, and remember the alternative, because there always is an alternative. And look at that long term. How will that impact you? How will that impact your family? How will you look back in your older years? Will it be great? Will it be awesome? And maybe it is. Maybe you're in a position that you feel like you're serving a lot, you're contributing to society, you're perhaps growing yourself and being challenged, and if that's the case, then that's awesome. But for most people, that isn't the case. For most people, if they don't do something that's an alternate to what they thought they would be doing all their life, then it won't be that fulfilling of a life. Would you agree with that? That's most people. So I got into network marketing, and it took me 12 or 13 companies to finally get it right. And so I failed time after time, jumped from company to company to company, and just didn't create any of that level of success. And then we went on to do pretty good in network marketing, and it's kind of an interesting deal. I'll talk about some numbers only because that's what I needed to hear when I was in the crowd. And there's some people like talking about numbers, some don't. But I needed to hear that when I was in the crowd and dead broke. Fast forward a little bit, 2009, I was in personal foreclosure, dead broke, ducking bill collectors, looking through my Venetian blinds to see who was out the door. I'm serious. Anyone ever been there? You don't have to raise your hand. Appreciate it. And, I remember that. I remember those days. In 2009, my gross revenue was $19,000. So that's pretty impressive, right? And in June of this year, our income was $36,000 per day. Wow. Yeah, so that's about $1,500 an hour. And so results may vary. Check your income disclosure statement. Results not typical. But I share that for the contrast. I share that for the contrast of what's possible if you follow a certain way of doing things. And let's say that what if it's only half possible? Still not too bad, right? And I really want you to see that you need to be looking at where you are going, not where you are. That's the biggest suggestion I can give to you, is to stop looking at your circumstances, stop looking at your obstacles, stop defining yourself. I love what Justice said. Justice said, stop defining yourself as new, right? Because can new have massive success? Can't. Your words are literally preventing you from hitting your goals. They're preventing it. It's a dictation. I'm new, right? So I thought that was a really, really good. Is Justice here? We don't need to call him out. But anyway, I thought that was a really good distinction. And so now we've been able to have the time to make distinctions in our life to look at what do we want. And a lot of people, they focus always on what works. So they want to know what's the lead generation trick, what's the best thing to do this. And they're constantly looking for what works versus consciously thinking about what they actually want. And I encourage you to always think about what you want. In the beginning, you may have to do things that you don't want to do. Some of you have seen my interview by a gentleman named Eric Worre, where he interviewed me. In my first 6 months of my last company, I got 20 no's a day every single day. And I just created a psychological trigger that thought about that anytime I thought about how crappy my life was or how great it used to be, then I had to pick up the phone. And it was just a psychological trigger that I would fire off, and it became to where it just, anytime something bad, pick up the phone, right? I'd find the phone in my hand, right? And I would call somebody. Did I want to call somebody? No. And that's a big distinction that you should have in that what you think, and maybe Caesar's different, because that cat's a little different, right? But for most people that I know, most top earners that I've worked with, they have the exact same hesitation that you have when you're picking up the phone and about to call somebody, but they press the button anyway. That's the difference, is they press the button, they press that last step. They do that last step, and that's why they get extraordinary results, okay? And so I was doing the 20 no's a day, had failed in every network marketing company in the past, hit 10,000 a month my 5th month, 40,000 a month my 7th month, 50,000 my 10th month, and became the #1 income earner in that company. And it was awesome. It was great. And along the way, while I was getting all those no's, I started learning marketing. I started learning attraction marketing. And I read Magnetic Sponsoring. I got into MLSP, and back then I didn't really know what I was doing. And I'll talk a little bit about you guys, because I told you in the group, for those that are watching the group, I told you that I would talk about 3 main things today. One of them being how to make your first $1,000. Would that be interesting to you? Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, cool. So, first thing is, so I wanted to talk about the 0 to 1,000. You're probably not going to be able to read that, right? My handwriting is not the greatest. But 0 to 1,000. The 2 big things that people struggle with that are in or around this range is belief. That's a belief. And self-image. Okay? Those are the two big things that people really struggle with. Self-image of, well, what will they say about me? Well, how is it going to look if I come across and I'm not having success? So it's actually a very selfish world. Now, the world won't ever tell you that, because when you tell people that you're on an adventure, some people will applaud you on that adventure until you try to get them into that adventure as well, right? They're like, I'm trying to, go do this, and they're like, oh, good for you. And then you say, well, you should do it too, and they're like, I don't want to do those things. Those things don't work, right? But you struggle with belief. You struggle with self-image. So those things kind of keep people from doing the things that would actually get them results. And the problem is, in this category, you're constantly comparing yourself to your results. And what you need to be analyzing is the habits that created those results. Because those you can change. You actually cannot change results. You can't change them. You can only change the habits that created those results. You can't change them. So you staring like I used to. I mean, I clearly remember days when I would stare at my bank account and I would just like look at it. And it was like, for me, and I think maybe, at least arguably, men may suffer from this more than women, but a lot of times men, we identify our net worth as our self-worth. So when I was looking at my bank account with a couple $100 in it, I was actually looking into a mirror for me. That was my value on this planet. That's all she's got. That's all I've been able to do. And I was looking at that, and that was constantly, well, what can you do? You can't do anything about a bank account. I mean, I guess I could white it out, right? I could law of attraction it, right? Just white it out, put a lot bigger number, feel better, right? Now, I'm actually a fan of law of attraction, but a lot of people bash it in the wrong way. They don't understand, right? But you have to stop looking at your results and start looking at your habits that created those results. One of the questions that I get all the time is, Ray, what would you do differently? Now that, we've been able to generate 7 figures in network marketing, affiliate marketing, selling our own products, coaching, selling masterminds. We've been in each of those categories, we've been able to do that in the last few years. And what would I do differently? And the answer is, you know what? I wouldn't do any of it differently. I'm so grateful that I went through foreclosure, that I had the taste of being smacked in the face at that age. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that I learned the value of money. I'm so grateful that I stopped thinking that the world owed me something. And funnily enough, I'm rereading, and I read all kinds of weird stuff sometimes, but I'm rereading the original MLM traffic formula. Anyone have that?
Wow.
And there's a quote in there that Mike Diller's one of Mike Diller's products, and there's a quote in there, and it says, it's from Dan Kennedy, and it says, I will be unblank so long as I associate being blank to someone else. So you could fill that in and say, I will be unsuccessful so long as I equate being successful to someone else, right? And it has to be up to you. So in this stage, when I was $0 to $1,000, this is my suggestion for you, okay? I'm gonna encourage you to embrace a couple things, okay? One, okay, I'm just gonna tell you what this is because you probably can't read it. Multiple streams. Now why do I say that? Multiple streams. Because if you're in network marketing, and I saw the hands go up, so it looks like quite a few of you are. If you're in network marketing, here's a newsflash. Most people you talk to aren't going to join your team. Just reality, okay? The way that we've made a lot of money with MLSP is just by asking the question, how are you doing with generating leads online? So when I talk to somebody and they say, hey, I'm in Great Bitty Grape, and it's the best. It's ground floor, it's got 37 antioxidants, 1.2 billion ORAC score, right? Whatever. And they're fired up. See, I think the world needs more fired up people. I'm not making fun of that. I think the world needs more fired up people. But we also need more skilled people. Okay? We need more educated people. We need to raise the vibration of this entire profession. And so when I find out, when I determine that someone is super duper fired up about their company, I'm like, awesome. How are you doing with generating leads online? 9 times out of 10, they say, well, not very good. I wish I was doing better. They give me some kind of answer like that. And I'll say, you know, I don't know if it's a fit for you, but you might check out this little training. It might help you out. Do you think they watch it? All the time. All the time. And that's how we recruited so many people into MLSP. And it's just it's a whole concept of, if you're going to be talking to people, why not have, you know, something to fall back on if they don't do your primary thing, which most of them won't. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, hopefully it does, or else, you know, you wouldn't be here, right? So multi-stream. Embrace a 2-step approach. I did a training for MLSP not too long ago where I talked about this 2-step approach. And I'm very blessed that I've heard so many people give me little shout outs and things like that. It's really super cool. But a lot of people have used, you know, the term that I use, ILT. And it's funny because right now, I got some buddies over at Podcast Movement, which is a big podcast deal. And John Lee Dumas, the guy that runs Entrepreneur on Fire, he was actually talking about my ILT process there, which is pretty neat. I've seen when you're not even at an event, they talk about it. That's cool, right? You guys can make that happen too. But the ILT, so that stands for Invest, Learn, Teach. You invest your time, possibly money, to learn something, then you teach it. Every single time you go through a webinar, you go through a book, you go through a course, take your notes and transform that into online content that points to the origination of that content. So that's very, very simple with MLSP. So you go through one of their system campaigns, watch the thing, jot down your notes, and share, hey guys, I was on an awesome training, and I learned .D, and by the way, if you'd like that full training, head on over to here, it's a free training for you. That's how you generate leads. 2 steps. Now, why do I say 2 steps? Because most people do 1 step, where they take the capture page and they post it in Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups, and they're like, pretty please become a lead. And I'm telling you, here's what happens. So people in those groups that's filled with spam and filled with capture pages and some sales pages, they click it, they see it's a capture page, they were not prepared for it to be a capture page, they close it. And that's why you look in your stats and you're like, hey, 2,000 people clicked the page and none of them opted in. Must be the page. Must be a problem with the page. It's not a problem with the page. It's a problem with how you introduce them to the page. Does that make sense? Yes. So embrace this 2-step process, because what this is going to do, and what it did for me, is it generated a lead. And I always had, when I was hardcore on the phone, which isn't necessarily the case anymore, but when I was hardcore on the phone, I always had the phone number field in there, and I would just call them. Hey, saw that you visited this page, just curious, how can I best help you? That leads me to another point. Right now, most people in this stage, that says outcome, most people in this stage, yeah, the man trying to shut us down. So most people in this stage, they have an addiction to the outcome. Come on, man. Come on, lead. Come on, dog. We need you, man. Right? There's an addiction. Like a sugar craze. Like you ever have your mom make like brownies or something, and you're like on the couch and you're like looking at that tin, you're just like, right? That's an addiction. Sugar is an addiction, by the way. You need to break that addiction to the outcome. I really wish that I did this, but if you hooked up a heart monitor to me as I'm receiving no's, you would see no change. There literally is no change. I'm looking for people that are looking for a solution. I'm not looking to cram whatever I have down their throats. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're calling these leads that you generated from very basic videos, very basic blogs. I'm a big fan of blogging. You're doing this of, reaching out to them on social media. And by the way, I'll give you, because so many people need this, my God, if we can just do this one thing, the vibration of our profession will raise by 100, okay? And that is get better at talking to people on social media about our profession. If we can do that, I'm telling you, our lives will be so much easier. Because what's happening is when you prospect somebody, they've been prospected 52 times improperly, so you have an obstacle, you have a barrier there. So I do have, let's see how we do with this. Oh, geez. I am not the guru of teaching social media prospecting, but my wife is. And she has a webinar that she does. One clap, I like it. So she has a training, rayhigdon.com/justwebinar, and you can watch that. I assure you, we know so many people that have gone through that training and really gotten a lot of benefit. Okay, so you are going to call these leads without an addiction to the outcome. If you produce a piece of content every day, and you reach out to at least 5 people on social media, you do the combination, marketing, that's the creating of the content, hoping someone responds or reacts to it, and prospecting, you'll get to that $1,000 your first month. And here's what's neat. Bless you. Yes. Hallelujah. You'll get to that $1,000, and here's what's neat. Here's what's really neat. This is harder than going from $1,000 to $10,000 a month. Yeah. I assure you. And ask any earner that's past that mark, they will tell you that is the case. Okay? Now, for a very small select few of you, sounds like a sale, right? So I'm going to give you the path to 7 figures, okay? Now, those that are in this route, this category right here, you don't have to raise your hands, but those that are in this category right here, some of this stuff may not apply to you. So in here I said belief and worry about self-image is what keeps you from getting that $1,000, okay? That is what keeps you, just so you know. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there about belief. Events are the greatest generator of belief. Yep. Why? Because you see other people making it happen. And here's what's neat. All of those people that crossed stage and got their awards and all that stuff, they all have different enrollers. They all have different support. They all have different background. But they're in a system, and they're being rewarded for results inside that system. So is it really all on you? No. The system has produced results. And that is the biggest link that you can really create there. Because some people won't make a sale or won't recruit someone because they're worried about what will happen next. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen, right? So I'm just not going to sell them. That'll be safe. But I'll also prevent them from ever changing someone's life. Ouch. Yeah. See, and I'm going to talk about money here in a second, but it was pretty cool seeing, so my first Live the Dream, it was at the Venetian in Vegas, Live the Dream 1, and I sat in this, I was up toward the front, I was in the first couple rows, and I remember going there, and after the first day, I'm like, holy cow, this is so awesome, man, and I'm like, geez, God, I wish I was up on stage. Anyone have that feeling? Yeah. Right? I wish I was up on stage. That morning, the next morning, I'm sorry, I get a text from, I think that might have been Norbert. I think it was Norbert. And he texts me and he says, hey dude, you want to be on stage tomorrow to interview my biller? I'm like, let me think about that. Yes, please. But what's really cool coming full circle is here we are 5 years later, and one of two of my top clients thought the same thing and got the same text. Weird. Terry and Felicia, where are you back there? So these are two of my diamond clients. Been working with them for a while, and they literally got the same text. They thought, I wish we were on stage. Would you like to interview Mike Dillard? Yeah. Weird. And that's what starts to really get you fired up. We'll talk about that in a second. So, path to 7 figures. What prevents it? Now let me tell you, there's a whole lot of 6-figure guys that'll never make it to 7 figures unless they get what I'm about to say. Okay? There are 2 things. Number 1, okay, they don't understand payoff. Number 2, ego. Let me tell you, especially in a community like this, you go crush it. These guys, I bow to them. They are the kings of exposure. They're the kings. They literally had me invent the word exposure agent. That's how I saw MLSP. I didn't actually see MLSP as, ooh, that's a way to make a bunch of money. I saw them as, let me see. There's so many people online that everyone knows, and they all came through MLSP. They're a great exposure agent, right? So these guys are amazing at being an exposure agent. You have to, and when you hit 6 figures inside MLSP, or for the most part, 6 figures almost anywhere, your payoff is love, attention, and exposure. A lot of people stop there. A lot of people say, oh man, I'm doing good, right? Well, I still believe there's more lives to be impacted. Right. And I believe there's no limit. Yes. Yes. I believe there's more lives to be impacted. Now, some of you may be thinking, what the hell is 6 figure, 7 figure? What does that have to do with impact? And that's exactly why you're not there. Right. That's why you're not there. Because you see money as something foreign. You see money as greed. You see money as something negative. Whereas if you start seeing it, especially in this profession, if you start seeing it as an indicator of how many lives you've impacted, then you start to realize, I better set some money goals. Right. Okay? So, payoff, not understanding your payoff. If you're here for the limelight, you'll stop at 6 figures. I assure you. There's not much difference in limelight between 6 and 7 figures. There really isn't. You know, I don't get invited on more stages because of, you know, hitting that or whatever, right? There's not a lot of difference in limelight. So if you're in love with the limelight, if that's your baby, just rock on, right? If that's your payoff, you'll hit 6 figures and you'll be good to go. If something tumbles your way, you may not be secure. You may not be secure. Second one, ego. This is, and you know, I'm constantly working on stripping away more of my ego, but I've been very, very good in that I look at who has the lifestyle, the skill set, the whatever it is that I want to have and be able to also teach, and I hire them. I don't have an ego with that. There are a lot of times when people hit the 6 figures, what prevents them from going to 7 figures is simply not getting around the 7-figure people, the 8-figure people. You know, my wife and I, we joined a mastermind this year. The average income is $19 million a year. So I go in there, I shine shoes, and I'm like, 2 shoes, right? But I go there, pay attention, I go there to learn the questions that I don't know to ask. See, you'll pretty much find the path from here to 6 figures. It's actually fairly straightforward. But what got you from here to 6 figures, it will not get you to 7 figures. You need to start thinking about infrastructure. You need to start thinking about personnel. You need to start thinking about time management and effectiveness. It's very, very different. And I actually learned recently that what was preventing us from going to 8 figures from 7 to 8 a year was me. Because I'm used to being the product creation guy. We got 40 products that we've created, right? So we create products, they sell a lot, and everything's great. So we've been a big transactional company versus an optimization, effectiveness kind of company. These are the two things that'll prevent you from going, if you're in 6 figures, that'll prevent you from going to 7 figures. So, let's help. Was that helpful? Yeah. Okay. So let's help you with the identification of money. So when I talk money, I have an immediate translation of, if you want to make more money in this profession, you have to impact more lives. And so I have a insatiable desire to locate people that also have an insatiable desire to impact others. And what's neat about that is, we've helped coaching clients, we have coaching clients that we've helped, that they have their own huge audiences. They're building their own huge, platforms and people following them and everything, and they're making all kinds. They have their own hundreds and hundreds of testimonials. That's what's pretty cool. The bigger you play in that pool, the better type of person you will attract. In the last, what's today? Sunday. In the last 10 days, I've had 2 coaching clients. One has made $45 million in network marketing. He's created over $40 million a year earners, and he hired me to help him with his marketing. Now, if that's not a person that's interested in making a big difference, by the way, his biggest team was over 700,000 people. Wow. That's someone playing big. That's someone it's awesome to work with somebody like that. We have the second person. This was on Thursday. On Thursday, she's a black diamond in her company, making over $250,000 a month. Beast. Coming to us to help her with her marketing and her branding. So some questions you need to ask yourself to change how you view this, okay? 1, how can I become the type of person that will make a bigger impact? How can I become the type of person that will make a bigger impact? Start seeing money as an indicator of people that you have helped. I'll tell you a real quick story, and hopefully I'm not embarrassing them too much. But we have our annual event, and it's actually in a couple of weeks. And last August or last June, I think, I don't know, June, July, something like that. So last year, right around this time, there's a gentleman there that he got into our coaching program, which is very expensive, and he had to borrow money to get home. He has since left a $35,000 a year job, has made over 6 figures, and he just had a product launch that did almost $80,000 with an email list of only 4,500 people. Yeah. And that would be Terry back there, who's now also working with Felicia. So give them a little shout out. Yeah. Guess what? Now could I have taught him all the stuff that I taught him for free? Could I have done that? Sure. Yeah. Terry, would you have taken it as seriously? He thanked me today. He thanked me today, and he said, "Thank you for making me pay you so much money." That's neat, right? You see, you need to be compensated for your efforts, but you also need to find the people that are willing to invest in themselves. And they will thank you. I can tell you, if the mentors that I've learned from, if they just gave it to me for free, I know that I wouldn't have brought the same energy. So what's the conclusion? The conclusion is you can make a lot of this and create a lot of stories. You can make a lot of money and have extremely happy clients. People that thank you. And this flies in the face of how I used to operate. I mean, I used to be the Napster, the Kaza. I wasn't buying no audiobook. I just find that ripped off version. Right? That's the energy that I held. But now I don't see the world that way. And because I don't see the world that way, I value the dollar, and I also value intellectual property and time. I would never in a million years ask someone for, hey, would you just do something for me for free and coach me, tell me what you did. I would never do that, ever. Because I value their time. Why? Because how you treat others is how the world is going to treat you. You know, so many people, they have such, when someone is selling something, they're like, arr. And I see them on, anyone ever see them on the webinars? Wait a minute, he's selling something. Right, we get them all the time. If you're on my webinars, I actually call them out. I don't make fun of them, I actually try to help them. But think about this. Here you have this nasty energy towards someone who's selling something, yet you're dying to have more buyers. You will never become that which you despise. You despise the wealthy? If you despise the people that are super successful, despise the people that have things to offer others, you'll just never become one of them. How can you? You just can't. And so, a couple things while we wrap up here. One, know that you can get to wherever you want to go from wherever you are. It is your shot right now. You will probably never be more fired up than you are right now. You need to take action not next week. You need to hit the ground running on Monday and start taking control of your habits and start doing the things that are going to impact more lives immediately. And you need to do that day in, day out, getting around the people that want to see you succeed, that would love to be thanking you from the stage. Can you imagine having someone that you helped up here on the stage thanking you? Yes. I want you to have that feeling. And you can, but that's up to you. Thank you, guys.
What's up, you guys? Paul Ivacola here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I did. Ray Higdon's an absolute beast when it comes to network marketing, and if you're involved in network marketing and you got some value out of that video, you learned how to make your first $1,000, and now you're ready to move on to the next step, well, you're in luck, because I actually typed up a PDF that took me about 5 hours to type up, but it's the most in-depth Instagram training I've ever created, and I offer that absolutely free, you guys. I teach you how to make your very first $10,000 using Instagram alone. I mean, this training literally allowed me to generate 1,500 leads and make hundreds of sales only with one tool, and that's Instagram. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, all you gotta do is click the link below, and we'll see you guys on the other side.